So the channel's just reached 250,000 fucking subscribers. I promise you guys a 10-minute animation. However, I could do it in my normal drawing style, but that would take a long ass time. So this is Shloopy. And Shloopy is going to be giving you a tour of my life. We're going to go through the life of Kaif. Bear in mind, I've recently got braces, so I'm going to fuck up a lot of my words, so cut me some slack, yeah? So I'm Kaif, as you know, and I was born in Wales in 1991. I wasn't always born a Kaif. My actual name is Simon. And until comprehensive school, so for you Americans, it's high school, I guess, that was my name. I was born in Glamorgan, a hospital that was later demolished. So why am I the way I am? When I was roughly 5, I fell out of a bunk bed and onto my head. The sound of my skull colliding with the laminate flooring will haunt me for the rest of my days. And probably my family as well. A couple of years later, I took yet another blow to the head. You know those swings that are suspended on a sort of zipline thing? You sit on it and it follows along the zipline? Let's just call it a zipline swing. Well, my previous blow to the head had probably impacted my ability to differentiate between smart and dumb decisions. Because I ran in the way of my brother ziplining and took the swing to the back of my head. At the time, I thought it was really heroic of my brother to rinse the blood out of my hair with a shower head. Now I realize he did that because he didn't want to get caught. But there we go. And that's the last I remember of that. Later in primary school, we discovered this totally awesome fun thing for kids to do. It's called a scully. So you get a friend to bear hug you. So just hug you really tightly. While you breathe in and out very fast until you pass out. That is a scully. Anyway, we had this huge hill on the playground. When it wasn't raining, we could go on it. I volunteered to scully, and just as I passed out, they pushed me down a hill. Why? Kids, man. I don't remember hitting my head because I was passed out, but come on. I probably did. So primary school is where I met one of the first slave raiders. This was Harley. This was the years where classics such as Pandemonium, Star Fox, and Banjo and Kazooie came out. And the reason I say those is because I played those fuckers a lot. We used to play a game called British Bulldogs. The aim of the game is to make it from one side of the field to the other. One player is the bulldog, and if he rugby tackled you, you become a bulldog. That meant that the rest of the players still have to make it across the field, but instead of one bulldog, there are 2 bulldogs. Once everyone makes it to the end of the field, everyone would run again. This goes on until one person inevitably wins. Why am I telling you this? One time I got rugby tackled and I banged my head on a loose rock. No blood, but fuck me, that hurt. I came out of primary school with the sats of a god. I was labelled a very, very intelligent kid. I don't know what happened to me after that. In fact, I did so well that I got placed in the smart-ass group in comprehensive school. I realized how much of an awkward teen I was. I realized this after, but you know what I mean. Like, at the time I didn't quite know it until I reflected on those years and I realized how much of a mong I was. On the first day of comprehensive, I really set the bar. Have you ever drifted off and stared into the distance and everything around you disappears? Come on, we've all done it. I did this on my first day in registration class. It's the start of the day to make sure everyone's in school. Turns out, even though I was staring at a wall, it was close enough to a girl that she mistook it as me staring at her. She kept waving her arms about, mouthing words at me. I'm assuming she was saying, "Oi creep, stop staring at me." I don't know why I did that so deep, because she was a girl, but she was like one of the most popular girls in school, and this was the beginning of the end for me. I got mocked a lot for my ability to speak to people. I'd get really nervous and I'd choke on words. I still do it now, but I've kind of got better at it. Up until recently, I couldn't do TH, so I would say thing, thought, instead of thing or thought. So I'm getting near with that. I wouldn't say the mocking was bullying, but it didn't feel great. Comp went from year 7 to 11. I shit you not, I could not remember a thing from year 8 and 9. Nothing. But what I do know is I met Tom in these years. Have you ever noticed that the URL to my channel is Kaif and Tom Plays? Yeah, that guy. Speaking of head trauma, we used to play a game... I just remember what it's called. We used to play a game called Spunk Monkey. Don't worry, it has nothing to do with spunk. If you don't know what the word spunk means, it's better that you probably don't find out. But our school was like a loop. So we always ended up finding each other. So if you walked in one direction in the school, you would inevitably find yourself back at the point you started. The center of the loop was a courtyard. Anyway, remember bulldogs? The Spunk Monkey gives you 30 seconds to run. After that, the hunt begins. But unlike bulldogs, it doesn't end. So you would run and run until he catches you. After he does catch you, he must tackle you to the ground and bite you. I don't know why. Tom made this game, and Tom had a very, very vivid imagination. Anyway, my head hit a wall being tackled. That is the moral of the story I was trying to get at here. Moving on. So, being in superset is what we called it. It meant that I did double science and double English. I didn't get a choice in the matter. My ability to write bullshit in primary school dictated that somehow I was a fucking scientist. So for my GCSEs in year 10, I also had to do religion, maths, and textiles and PE. I chose to do art as well because art was one of the better classes. We were 15 at the time and I made good friends there. Let's call them Bill, Bob, Thornton, and Tom. Bill and Bob were idiots. We played up a lot and often got separated from the rest of the class. Being the artists that we were, we created a flag and named our small colony the Land of Forgotten Children. Our teacher was surprisingly chill about the way we acted. But looking back, I actually think she liked us, even though she put us in detention a lot. So Bill and Bob quite often hurt each other. Bob wanted to know if a magnifying glass in the sun could cause heat, like in the cartoons. So what Bill did was aim the magnifying glass at the back of Bob's head. This went on for a while until the teacher smelt burning, and then when she looked up from her work, she freaked out at the smoke rising off of Bob's head. So the reason I've mentioned Bill and Bob here is because they solidified my name as Kaif. Now, to be a Kaif, or spelt correctly, Kaif, you had to be from a place called Kaif Ardra, which was a council-housed estate. It was okay. It wasn't as bad as people made it out to be. And we were unfairly known as thieves. If you came off the Kai bus, people would call you Kaifers, and if you were being addressed individually, you'd be like Bobby Kaif or Danny Kaif. But Bill and Bob, they literally just called me Kaif. I stopped responding to being called Simon since we already had a friend called Simon. I made the YouTube with Tom in 2011, but I changed the spelling so it was readable for anyone that wasn't Welsh. Caef is not a word that is quite easy to read out. I mean, with Kaif, at least if you're going to say it, you might accidentally say Kaif, and it sounded right. It was originally going to be Caif, but I did later realize that certain fonts made it look like the word calf, and I didn't like that. I met Josh in these years. He was in the year group below me. During this time, I grew my hair. I was a bit of a greasy, spotty mess. In fact, my acne got so bad I had to take medicine that made my skin peel off. And it wasn't just my face that peeled. Use your imagination. In year 11, my dad left. And he left around the time of my exams. My mum believes that my dad leaving is why I did so bad in my GCSEs. I got an A in both English literature and English language. I told you, I excel at writing bullshit, like the script for this video. I got a B in Science 1 and a C in Science 2, an A in Art, and a C in Textiles, and then a C in everything else. So it's not like my grades were bad, they were just average. But this did mean that I had two choices. I could go to college for my A-levels, or I could stay in school and do it there instead. This is what we called sixth form. Sixth formers got to wear the super cool white shirts instead of blue. Yeah, you know what I picked. A small group of us stayed for sixth form, so this meant that almost everyone I knew and hated left. I wanted people to like me, so I tried to be this fun and outgoing person. And it meant that we would drink a lot and hardly turn up for classes. I chose to do physics, maths, and IT. Like, what the fuck was I thinking? The school encouraged weekly parties on a Wednesday for socializing. And some of the girls used this as an opportunity to book out clubs, sell tickets to sixth formers, and the year 10s and 11s who had fake ID or used a family member's ID would turn up. All of my physics and maths classes were on a Thursday, and our parties were on a Wednesday, and I could not deal with going to those with a hangover. So I only went to IT. I ended up failing maths and physics in the end anyway, so I talked my mum into letting me do what I wanted to do. And what I wanted to do was performing arts and media. The reality was, I just wanted to pass my A-levels. And eventually, I got accepted into university. I did a Bachelor's of Science Honours in Sound Technology with a module in video editing. It's all starting to come into play now, isn't it? I also began learning how to draw properly in this time, and I used it to draw the YouTube thumbnails for mine and Tom's channel, which we had started doing again recently. I eventually ended up passing university with, I can't remember if it was a 2-1 or a 2-2, and in fact, I don't even have a certificate. I came out of university in 2014. What I realized very quickly that it is very, very hard to get a job if you don't have experience. And it's very, very hard to get experience if you don't have a job. And I know a lot of you feel the exact same way as I do about that. In 2016, Legion came out, didn't it? And Emerald Nightmare came out. Tom was still with me at the time. We weren't really doing videos, but he was still part of the channel. We were having healing issues, and Josh decided to call Tom out on his healing. Tom had problems with our group in general. He didn't like banter, and he felt it was a bit too vicious. It wasn't that he hated the fact that his healing was being taken the piss out of. He just finally snapped. Tom left. I renamed my channel just Kaif. And I posted my first video on my own, which was called Life as Raid Leader. I uploaded that video on November 15th. I was still living with my mum at the time, and it did so well that I ran downstairs the next morning to my mum saying, Mum, I uploaded a video to YouTube and 10,000 fucking people watched it. Like, my mother at the time was like, what? And I didn't upload anything until January. I had to concentrate on work. I went through a time in my life where I thought I was becoming depressed again. Come New Year's Eve, I made a resolution with myself that I would give YouTube one more go. I would put everything I had into it, and if it didn't work, I would never try it again. I'm just a fucking idiot who makes stupid videos. It's been a crazy 2 years. It is kind of weird to try and shorten my life into a 15-minute video. It's kind of depressing, that is. But guys, that was my life up until now, so it's a bit of a weird video, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.